Just wanted to speak a bit on the comparisons between two of my favorite ancient Near Eastern pantheons of deities, the Hurrian, of course, and the Ugaritic or Bronze Age Canaanite pantheon of Ugarit, and also I need to brush up on my Amorite pantheons, but also the related Amorite pantheon as well. So the relations between those. Well, right away we've got a connection between with the king of the gods in all three pantheons. Well, do we know for sure if the storm god is the king of the gods in the Amorite pantheon, like the pantheons of like Emar and Mari? Um, Maybe I'll save that for a separate video then. Um, but all right, I guess I'll concentrate on Hurrian and Ugaritic then. Ugaritic. Um, so Ugarit, of course, was a town, and it was a Canaanite town, and of course, Canaanites and Hurrians all had a bunch of different towns, different cities that you can call like Hurrian or Canaanite. Is Ugarit considered more of an Amorite town? I always considered it Canaanite. So anyway, the Canaanite king of the gods, Baal, and the Hurrian king of the gods, Teshub. They're both storm gods. They're very similar. They're very similar. And they both have the storm deity, of course, as the head of the pantheon. Now, they're not the oldest deities. They're more of a younger deity. But they're the heads of their pantheons. Um, and, Teshub is... He's got two fathers in different ways, but Kumarbi is an old grain god, is the old Hurrian grain god, and Baal has Dagon, the old Amorite and Syrian grain god, as his father. And Kumarbi and Dagon are often closely linked. They're very, very similar deities. Of course, we have a lot more mythology on Kumarbi than we do Dagon. But I kind of imagine Dagon to be very similar to Kumarbi. So, of course, they're both elder father deities as well. And Teshub and Baal kind of take over from them. Not completely though, because Kumarbi and Dagon both had in very important cults. So Teshub and Baal didn't completely usurp their father's cults. Not far from it, honestly. I mean, all those deities were very popular cults. But of course, in the Ugaritic mythology, you don't find Dagon and Baal vying for supremacy. But in the Hurrian mythology, you do find Teshub and Kumarbi vying for supremacy. So there's a big difference there. And I wouldn't say the Ugaritic high father deity, El, the creator deity, I wouldn't say El and Baal really are vying for supremacy. I don't think... Because El is kind of like... he's kind of like even above, like sort of above the king of the gods too. Like he's like above and beyond even that position because he's like the elder king of the gods, I guess. You should, yeah. I mean, he I believe he's also called a. He might be called a king as well, but he's like the elder king of the gods, um, and Baal is the younger king of the gods. You know, the more active one, maybe I should say. But El is still very. I mean, he's very prominent in the Ugaritic pantheon. Um, I don't know exactly who would who was equated with El in the Hurrian pantheon. Um, trying to there is I think there is an equation there. I don't know if it would be Alalu, like the first king, Hurrian king of the gods. I mean, it could be, but I believe one of the deities is equated with El. Um, so, but there's no like creator deity like that in the Hurrian pantheon, to my knowledge. So El, and of course his consort Atherat. She's kind of like the creatrix, to creator and creatrix. They're like father and mother of the gods. Now there, like I said, there are figures like that in the Hurrian pantheon. Like Alalu, for instance, was the first king of the gods, and then you had Anu, the second king of the gods, who's more benevolent father deity. Of course, Anu. Some of these deities are Mesopotamian as well. The Hurrians shared a lot of deities with like the Babylonians and Assyrians, and as well as the Amorites as well, and the Canaanites too, because we'll go over that though. These are two close close cultures historically. They lived, pretty close to each other. So, and lived with one another as well. All right, so Teshub and Baal, the king of the gods, and the weather deity, rules the skies, and produces the vegetation on the earth, helps produce it, along with some other deities, of course. So Teshub has his two bowls, divine bowls, Seri and Huri. That means like morning and evening, night and day. So I believe, let's see, for Baal, I believe they're both associated with the bowl. So I think astrologically they'd be associated with the constellation Taurus, just like the Mesopotamian god Adad and Ishkur is. I would assume that Teshub and Baal would have a would also be linked to that. But anyway, so Baal has Gapin and Ugar, or is it Ugar or Ugur? Gapin and Ugar. The vine and field, his two messengers there. He doesn't have a deity like Tazmisu, who's the messenger of Teshub and his brother. There's not. Baal has a bunch of messengers though. I believe he's got different servants, as does Teshub. Um, but the closest I can think of with first, like the Teshub's divine bulls, Syrian Hurry, are Gapin and Ugar. Gapin is the like god of the vine. Ugar is, or Ugar, I think it's Ugar. Ugar is the god of fields. The fields. Well, I mean yeah. So vine and field. So those they I think they kind of resemble each other because they're two messengers of Baal. The vine and field, the personified vine and field. So let me see. So there's definitely a similarity between Houdina and Hoodalura. Those are Hurrian goddesses of like birth and like midwifery and fate, destiny. So they're birth goddesses, and the Kotharat, who are the Ugaritic equivalents of that. Birth goddesses, possibly fate goddesses too. Very similar. Now with the Kotharat, there might be 7 of them, whereas with the Hurrians it's 2. But I'm not completely sure on that. I'm not completely sure if there's 7 or not. Those are deities of high status in both pantheons. Houdina and Hoodalura are pretty high among the goddesses. They have a pretty high status among the goddesses. Because I know that in the processions, in the deity processions, they're like not too far behind, the queen of the gods, Hebat. Hebat, of course, is Teshub's consort. Now her character is not. It's just a little bit her characteristics are just a little bit more vague. Her Ugaritic equivalent would be a goddess named Pidre, who I don't know if it's Baal's consort. It might be one of his daughters, actually, because I believe he's got 3 daughters, right? And so that wouldn't be a consort. So Pidre, Tale, and Arce are, and he might have more. But those, I believe they're called the daughters of Baal. And they're like related to different, like, what maybe different weather phenomenon. Although Arce might be related to the earth. Tale, I believe, is related to maybe rain. And I believe Pidre is related to, possibly lightning. She might be the daughter. One of them's daughter. Believe that the daughter of light. I think. Then daughter of like earth, and then daughter of rain. I may have that wrong, but I believe I'm not too far off. So, daughters of Teshub. I can't recall any known daughters of Teshub. Right offhand, at least. Of course, so Baal, I can't recall any like son of Baal. Teshub, of course, has Sharuma, who's the son of Baal, or Teshub and Hebat. And let's see. Of course, he's got his messenger brother deity, Tezmisu. So, the war deities. Ashtabi for the Hurrian god of war. And, well, there's a lot. There's multiple war deities, aren't there? But Ashtabi is an ally of Teshub, and Ashtabi is closely related to Ashtar, the Ugaritic. He has warlike characteristics in the Ugaritic mythology. It's not too clear, but their mythological episodes in both Hurrian and Canaan and Ugaritic mythology are very, very similar, and they're related to each other. Like, they're closely related to each other. Both try to take Teshub's and Baal's place as like a temporary leader of the gods, when both Baal and Teshub are kind of down and out, until they recover and gain the kingship again, or the kingship, and take the lead again. Like in Baal's case, of course, he was temporarily in the underworld because he was battling against death. And of course, in Teshub's case, he's battling the rock monster. What's his name? Uli Kumi, I believe. This big rock monster, which was fathered by, I believe it was Kumarbi, and was it Kumarbi and a rock, or was it Kumarbi? I think Kumarbi, did he impregnate the earth and the earth birthed the rock? I forget exactly. The earth, there's a personified earth goddess. But it was something like that. Anyway, of course, these are gods, so they can pretty much do what they want to, and create whatever they want. Nothing's off the table with these deities here. So, yeah. So let's see here. It's possible that Ashtar. It looks like it says that he became like king of the earth, and he might possibly be also a deity of irrigation, like artificial irrigation. I'm not sure about that. I think he's probably still has that warlike character to him. Of course, he's associated with the morning star, planet Venus in the morning, and possibly he's the brother of Ash. Well, it's Atart. She wasn't called Astarte yet. I mean, you could call her Astarte, but she's the Venus, the evening star, more associated with the evening star. It's believed to be. They're both related to. I do want to mention this. They're both related to. I hope I'm not rambling all over the place here. I feel like I am, but I'll try to slow down here a bit. They are both related to Astarte, and Ashtar are both related to rural areas, because they're called Ashtar, I believe Ashtar of the desert, and then there's Ashtarte of the desert. That's interesting. So there could be some, there's something to there's definitely something to that, and they definitely have a celestial character to them too. They definitely both personify the planet Venus, just different times of day, morning and evening. So, yeah, Ashtabi and Ashtar, there's definitely a connection there. As well as the names. I mean, look at the names too. The names are Ashtabi, Ashtar. So there's definitely something to that. I believe there's even a compound name. What was it? Is it? I don't think it was Ashtar and Ashtabi, but it was like Ashtabi or Ashtapil, and I forget. I actually forget. But there is a compound name. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's Ashtar and Ashtabi together. But anyway, so those are related. So I do look at Ashtar as a warrior style deity as well. Of course, probably the main warrior deities in the Ugaritic pantheon would be the goddess Anat, of course, goddess Anat, and the warrior god Reshef, right? So, but I believe Ashtar is like a warrior deity too. Of course, all these deities do have multifaceted characters. They're not. You can't just. It's nothing's black and white. Some may be a little closer to black and white than others, but none of them are black and white. They all have all different kinds of characteristics. So, now, Teshub's divine sister is, of course, Shaushka, the Hurrian Ishtar. There's actually a couple Hurrian Ishtars. There's also the goddess, is it Pinakir, who seems to be Elamite in origin. And it's actually, it's unclear if Shaushka personifies the planet Venus or not in Hurrian mythology. It's unclear. Even though she's winged, she's one of just a few deities that are called winged. Well, goddess Anat in Ugarit is actually winged as well. And she's not associated with the planet Venus. So there's that. Shaushka, I believe, means great, something similar to the great one, I believe, something like that. So Shaushka would be related. Shaushka, though, is related, closely related to Ashtarti, though. In Ugaritic texts, they are, directly associated with each other in there. So it's Hurro-Ugaritic text. There's some bilingual texts from Ugarit that are very interesting. They have both Hurrian and Ugaritic deity lists and names. So very interesting there, so that they were all worshipped together. That's very, very interesting. And the ancients directly associated them with their neighbor's counterpart deity. So I find that very fascinating. Now, in those texts, Shaushka actually might be associated with the planet Venus. So either we don't, either Pinakir in the Hurrian pantheon is alone associated with the planet Venus, or Shaushka and Pinakir both are related to the planet Venus. I kind of tend to see both of the. I can't imagine Shaushka as lofty of a goddess as she is in the Hurrian pantheon. Like she's pretty much the most important goddess in the Hurrian pantheon, apart from Hebat. Like I would say she's even more lofty than Hebat, or at least on the same equal level. Those are the two. Those are definitely the two highest goddesses of the Hurrian pantheon. So, the Hurrian Shaushka is related to the Ishtar of Nineveh, Assyrian city Nineveh. She's the goddess of love, lust, war, and I lean towards also of the planet Venus as well. I just can't, because most of the aren't all of the Ishtars related to the planet Venus, but I know there's some differences between different Ishtar cults, and I know there's the goddess Pinakir, but Shaushka being so heavily related to the goddess Ashtarti of Ugarit, there seems to be a celestial character to Shaushka that's just not as well known as the celestial character of like other Ishtar goddesses and Ashtarti. So I think I don't have the texts on hand right now, but I think going through them, there's probably some a celestial association there with Shaushka. So, all right. So Shaushka and Ashtarti, definitely related goddesses there. Pinakir was not in those Hurro-Ugaritic lists. I don't remember her being in the deity lists. So they both the Hurrians and the Canaanites, or I'll just say Ugaritics because it's a little, because I'm going with the Ugarit pantheon specifically. They both worship the goddess Ishara. In Ugarit, it is Ushareya or Usharaya. And her character is very multifaceted and could be considered a little vague as well, because her character can be all over the place depending on the sources you're looking at. Of course, she's in the underworld with the goddess Alani. Alani is the Hurrian goddess of the underworld. That's another really high goddess in the Hurrian pantheon. She's near the front of the procession. So Alani is very important. I believe Alani's cult is more important with the Hurrians than her Mesopotamian counterpart, which is a very similar goddess, Erish Kigel. So the Hurrians did worship Alani, And I don't actually know if the Mesopotamians worshipped Ereshkigal or just like acknowledged her. Somebody let me know about that, because I need to brush up on that information. So is there an equivalent of the goddess Alani in Ugarit? So I can't think of an equivalent right now. Somebody let me know if there's a deity that may come close to that, but as of right now, I can't think of a deity like that. Now there is a Ugaritic deity called Milku. That's his original name. Milku means the king. It means the king, or Melek or Malak. There's a later, the later word. He seems to have associations with the underworld and could possibly be the ruler of the underworld. I know there's the death god Mot, but I don't think he's the ruler of the underworld. I think he's just death. like Namtar is in Mesopotamia. Namtar is just like the god of death. He just personifies death. But he's not the ruler of the actual ruler of the underworld, though. I think he's like one of the messengers of the higher underworld deities, right? Let me see here. There's a, let's see. Oh, of course, Kothar, the craftsman god of Ugarit, ally of Baal. So Kothar, he's closely associated with the Hurrian. I'll say the Hurrian Enki or Ea, who's the god of like the subterranean waters, the fresh waters, and he's also, of course, the craftsman deity and god of wisdom. So he's closely related to that deity. He's called Ea in Hurrian. So you got the Hurrian Enki. It's Ea. But yeah, those two were associated with each other. They have very similar roles in the mythology. Like, Ea is like the wise. He's not really a craftsman, I don't think. But he's more of like a functions like as the god of, like, he's like the divine seer. Like, he's the god of wisdom, and that's his primary role in the Hurrian mythology, is wisdom, knowledge. He's and cunning, and Kothar is mostly a craftsman, but he also is like, just like Ea being like a divine advisor, so is Kothar. Like, you could definitely tell they're like wisdom deities for sure. Let's see, who are we forgetting here? Well, of course, you got the Hurrian deity Nubadig. He seems to be associated with Reshef. So I'm assuming both are very similar. They have the same They're both patron deities of the same city, Bibita or Pipita. So, and they're both, I believe, they're also both lords of the arrow and of the gazelles and deer, the gazelles or deer. So I'm assuming Nubidig is like a Hurrian, a deity very similar to Rishaf. I would say. Not much is known about Nubidig though. Not much more is known on him. We know more about Rishaf than we do Nubidig, but they are related deities. So now, goddess Anat of Ugaritic, the warrior goddess. Well, I guess she would be pretty close to Shaushka because they're both sisters of the storm god. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier on this video. But they're not I don't think that they're associated in the deity lists. I think it's Shaushka and Ashtarti. And that may not be associated with any goddess. She might just be by herself. Like, maybe that's how El was too. Maybe he wasn't associated. I'd have to go back and look. But, see, I'm trying to think now. But yeah, we can't forget about the goddess Anat. Yeah, there should be some more associations too. Of course, you have Shahar and Shalim of Ugaritic. There, that's it means night and day, or like dusk. I think it means dusk and dawn, right? Dusk and dawn, or dawn and yeah, it's dusk and dawn. Although I don't associate them with the planet Venus. I associate them actually. It's hard to say, but it's possible that they're associated with the constellation Gemini, the twins. It's very possible because they're twin deities. Even Houdina and Houdalura could possibly be associated with those two stars in Gemini. Like the two main stars in Gemini that look like they're side by side with each other in the sky. Trying to think if there's any. Oh, both have a sea god, Kiashi in Hurrian and Yam in Ugaritic. Can't forget about the sea deity. There's probably an earth goddess in there too. The Hurrians have a personified earth goddess, and I don't know who the Ugaritic equivalent of that would be right offhand, but there probably is. There's all kinds of deities in the deity lists in both. I guess I'll end it there for now. We're going rambling on almost 40 minutes here, so I just wanted to do a deity comparison list between the Hurrian gods and the Ugaritic gods, and hopefully some out there find this interesting and informative. They're two of my favorite pantheons from the ancient Near East, and as always, anybody who's interested or following these deities, let me know. If anyone's interested in me doing more topics on the Hurrians, the Ugaritic, the Ugaritics, Canaanites, or would like to see me do any other kinds of ancient Near Eastern pantheon topics, just let me know. And I'll just wrap it up here. And as always, thank you for watching.